and welcome to Book and Loop, where happiness is handmade and the best boyfriends are always found in books. Especially today, because we are talking about Emily Henry's amazing books. So, this is a very special video. I'm calling it Books We Read on Vacation, because while I was on vacation a couple weeks ago, I went to the Great Smoky Mountains and I brought all of my Emily Henry books with me. So I read 3 books while I was on vacation, 3 Emily Henry books. And I just wanted to kind of take this short video to just talk about how amazing Emily Henry is. She's a really great writer. I really loved all of her stories that I read. I'm really excited for the next one to come out, which is Happy Place, and it'll be released in April of next year. I really was pleasantly surprised. I'm not really like a regular straight up romance kind of gal. I usually like to read my fantasy romances, but I wound up really loving Emily Henry's book. It definitely broke me into the regular romance world. I'm super excited. I actually have a bunch of romance books that I had bought from Book of the Month. I am a member of Book of the Month, and I usually go for their romance or fantasies or young adult books. The past couple that I've gotten have all been their romance books. So I'm going to dive into the 3 books that I read while I was on vacation, and I'm super excited to share those with you guys. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay, so the first book that I read while I was on vacation was Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and I read that one on the car ride down because we drove down to Tennessee. We were going to be staying for a week in a house outside of the Smoky Mountains, going to Pigeon Forge and Dollywood and all that good stuff. So the first book I read was Book Lovers, and I loved Book Lovers. I actually got it as, if you use Libby, and if you don't know what Libby is an app provided through your local public library, where you put in your library card and then you were able to access a ton of ebooks and audiobooks. It's one of my all-time favorite things to use. I've got my grandma using it, my sister using it, my mom using it. It's just super convenient and super nice. I used it a lot in college when I had to get a lot of different books for my different classes. It just made it easier than buying books. And especially because it was right from your phone, so it was super nice and super easy. So yes, so I used Libby, and I used their skip the line feature because one of the copies was for Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and I knew that I wanted to read some Emily Henry books. Me and my sister had talked about reading both Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation while we were on vacation. And so when I saw that Book Lovers was available, I was like, I'm gonna do all 3. I'm gonna do all 3 while I'm on vacation. So I got the skip the line copy of Book Lovers, and let me tell you, I wound up really liking it a lot. My family is a total Hallmark family. My mom loves watching the Hallmark movies during Christmas time, and even a lot of times just during the year. We just kind of leave Hallmark on as background noise in our house. They are just like those like super warm, feel good movies where you know that the couple's gonna get together at the end and things are gonna be happy and it's all good. So I went into Book Lovers super excited because I knew that it was supposed to be kind of like a reverse, not a reverse, but like kind of like a spoof of like a Hallmark movie where you have that big bad like city girlfriend that tries to convince the city slickin' guy that he should stay in the city instead of pursuing his love in the small town. So you kind of have that with Book Lovers, and I really was like super into it when I first started reading it. In that whole first chapter when she talks about um basically that structure of the Hallmark movie, or that structure of the small town romance novel, where you have that like mean girlfriend that's like in the city, and she like tries to convince him that success is more important. Yeah, so you have Nora, and Nora works as a literary agent, which I think is super cool. I briefly interned at a literary agency when I was in college still, and so it was nice to have a character who was a literary agent, and I can kind of like understand and relate to the like her job, I guess. But it was just really good. And Nora, her sister's having a kid, and she's kind of just like been going through a tough time, and she asks if Nora would be willing to go visit a small town that one of the books that one of Nora's authors has published. They're gonna make a movie and it's based on this town. There's like a whole thing. So Nora kind of is just like down on her luck with love. She is constantly like villainized, like she's the Hallmark villain girlfriend. She finds somebody to date, they wind up having to travel for work or for something, family or whatever, and going to a small town, falling in love there and breaking up with her. So it's kind of, she is like that very like stereotypical working villain-esque kind of character. Um, and she's just really fun. Like I really thought she was a really fun character. And I loved Charlie, her love interest. I thought he was really great as well. He was like this very like straight-laced character that was kind of just like meant to be really gruff and rough around the edges, and I really enjoyed that. I love a like tall, dark, mysterious, like brooding kind of guy, and so it was really nice to have that be the love interest for this book. I feel like it was a really good introduction into her kind of writing. Book Lovers is her most recent book. And I really wound up enjoying it a lot. It kind of takes place in this town that one of Nora's authors have like written about, and you kind of see like this romance bud. Nora's kind of like convinced that she'll never find love, and it's just like a really sweet story, and I really loved it. And I loved the sister dynamic in it. As somebody with sisters, it was nice to kind of see like that whole dynamic play out. I really was like super impressed with it, I will say. It really was like a very strong start for like my reading for the trip. Um, I was like, oh, like we're not gonna get much better than this. And my sister had already started People We Meet on Vacation at that point, so that was the one that I was going to be jumping into next, and I did. And I actually have the book of the month edition of People We Meet on Vacation. I was super excited to jump into this one, having just finished Book Lovers. I was like, oh, People We Meet on Vacation is going to be amazing. And it did not disappoint. I think this actually wound up being my favorite out of the three that I read. I just really loved Poppy and Alex. They were so cute. Oh my god, I can't. So Poppy is a travel writer. Her and Alex met when they were in college. And Alex was very like down to earth, very like quiet, like wanted to stay in his hometown kind of guy. And Poppy is a let's travel, let's go see the world, let's go do XYZ together. And I really just loved their dynamic with each other, that Alex was like this very like um Alex was like this very like grandpa character, and I love when like you have that like opposing dynamic, because I think it's really great when two characters are like super different from each other, because then like you kind of get to see how they play off of each other. And I feel like if they were like the same character, like it would be boring. Like you want to see differences, and you want them to be very different from each other, so that you can kind of see like how these two like unlikely characters are gonna fall in love. And so Poppy is a travel writer. Her and Alex haven't talked for a while. They used to travel together every single summer, starting the summer of their sophomore year. When their summer between their freshman and sophomore year, they take a road trip home. And that's kind of when they become friends, even though they didn't really hit it off when they first met. So every summer together they travel, except for 2 years ago. That's the last time they traveled together, because something happened between them. And the whole book, you're kind of trying to like piece together exactly what happened between the two of them, and why they're kind of like not really close friends anymore. Finally, Poppy decides she's not really happy with her life anymore. Something's missing, and she realizes that it's Alex, and Alex is the one that made her happy. And so she reaches out to Alex and she says, you know what, we're gonna take a vacation together this summer. And so Alex agrees, and they wind up going to this really rinky dink hotel. It's like really broken down, and they wind up just kind of reconnecting. And it's really like a really sweet story. It definitely like was a little, it was a little steamy, I will say that. There is the scene where they finally get together, that I was like, oh wow, this is like really steamy. But like I really did like it. I just thought it was really good. Like I really enjoyed it. I think that the characters played really nicely off of each other. Poppy was really fun and energetic, and Alex was like way more like of a somber character, but still was like so caring and loving for Poppy, that like it worked. It worked really well. And so I really thought People We Meet on Vacation was very good. And I was like, oh no, it's just getting better and better. And then I started to read Beach Read. Oh, my bookmark is still in the front, because I like to keep tabs in my book when I read. So I also have the Book of the Month Beach Read copy as well. And I was like, wow, like we're just getting better and better. And Beach Read was really good. I did really like it. So I didn't like it as much as I liked People We Meet on Vacation, but I did still really love it. I thought the characters were amazing, out of this world, really good. I really loved January. I thought she was so funny. She had really great quips, really good one-liners. I thought that Gus was really cool. Like he was like kind of like that very like suave character, but he also could be like really dorky at times too. So I just thought like both characters, again, she just writes really good pairings, like really good pairings that work really well off of each other. They're really sarcastic, and they're really jokey with each other, and like because of that, it's just like really, really good. Um, So January just moved to this small town right off of a lake. Her father bought this lake house where he would go and sometimes meet his mistress sometimes there. And after her father dies, January inherits the lake house. And so she goes to stay there because she is a writer, but she's kind of out of money. And so she goes there to kind of write her next novel. And while she's there, she realizes that her next door neighbor, Gus, is actually her college rival from her writing classes, because Gus always had something to say about January's writing, about how January loves a happy ending. Gus is more like literary fiction, and January writes romance. And even though they both have two totally different outlooks on life and two totally different personalities, they still manage to click and hit it off, and they become really good friends. And maybe a little something more from that. But I just love that these books are like so easy to read. It is a little sometimes misleading for it being called beach read, and the cover, the way the cover looks, like it's like not like it's a little darker than that, and like it's not as straightforward and like light beach read as you may think it is. But it still is like so good and like definitely like devourable. Like I think it took me 2 days to read Book Lovers, and maybe like 3 days to read People With Me on Vacation, and 3 days to read Beach Read. Maybe that's like, I'm thinking that's like what it was, but they were just like so good, like literally so good. And I'm so happy that like I brought these with me to read them while I was on my trip, because they were like the perfect vacation reads, like literally so good for no reason. So I'm super super excited. I literally cannot wait for Happy Place to come out. I'm gonna have to read the rest of Emily Henry's backlist. I know she writes YA books too, and we do have Hello Girls. I actually own a copy of Hello Girls that I didn't even realize was by her. It's somewhere in my room on one of my bookshelves, but I have it, and so I'm really excited to read that. I think that she just like writes really good romances. I think her characters are really great, and that's what makes it super convincing. I like that she's really good at writing dynamics. She's really good at kind of capturing the essence of like these different characters and portraying it really well on the page. So I'm super super into it. I'm super happy and like really like just like so in love with Emily Henry's writing. I definitely, she has me like in her back pocket now. Like I'm like super into it, and I totally am like recommending these to everybody. Like my cousin was like, "Do you have the new Colleen Hoover book?" And I was like, "No, I do not, but I do have Emily Henry's books, and you should read those. Like they're really good." I know I'm gonna have to jump on the Colleen Hoover bandwagon eventually. My sister started reading some of her books. I think she read It Ends With Us, and she was like, "You have to read it. It's really good." So Colleen Hoover, maybe that'll be my next vacation author read. So I'm super excited. Although Colleen Hoover has like a ton of books, and it's gonna take me way longer, but we'll see. So yeah, those are the books I read on vacation. Not the people we meet on vacation, but the books I read on vacation. And I'm super excited, and I really hope if you guys didn't read these books yet, you have to go read them because they're literally so good. I was a little nervous going into it though, I will say that, because sometimes like books get like overhyped, and then like you go into it with like high expectations and you're like, ah, this is kind of just like okay. But like it wasn't the case with these. Like I wound up really liking them. I guess that's probably why they're book of the month books, is because they're supposed to be really good. So yeah. So if you haven't, do yourself a favor and go pick up some Emily Henry books. Definitely People We Read on Vacation. Definitely Beach Read. Definitely Book Lovers. Get all three. Just read them. They're really good. I like feel like each of these has like a totally different like vibe to it too. This one was like a little darker. This one's a little darker. Book Lovers is like perfect for like a Hallmark person kind of fan, and then this one was like a straight up like, this one definitely like, this one is great for like friends to lovers. Like it's just really great. It has all the tropes. It has all the tropes. It has all the tropes. I really did love them, and I really hope that if you guys haven't read them, that you will now go out and read them because they're so good. I love them. So okay, I'll stop talking now. So that's gonna be all from me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys soon. Happy reading.